Hello and welcome back to Between the Pages. Today's guest, back again after his debut last month, is Rich Johnston, Editor-in-Chief over at Bleeding Cool.
Hello!
So today, Rich, you and I are going to do a review of the Death of the Family, because it's finally over. It's done.
It is. It's been a fair few months. There's been a lot of Joker and a lot of Bat comics, but we're now finally at the end with Batman 17, the last one.
I like what you did with your copy.
Well, you see, it's the day before Valentine's Day when it came out, and I thought, you know, the imagery within that, spoilers, but it would make a nice kind of Valentine's Day card. So, yeah, I was quite happy with that.
I love it. And, you know, DC should have sent that out instead of those little ones, like the little kid ones that they had in the Young Romance one, right?
I like those. But yeah, they were a little bit small. They were on the small side.
So to start out, just what's your overall feeling of Death of the Family now that it's done?
It's weird because it seemed to be promising all sorts of people will die, as if that's kind of important. And it seems to be much more thematic. I mean, the clue was always there in the title, Death of the Family. It's the relationship that Batman has with the other characters, which is either has been strained, or has gone through a death, or has changed. I liked a lot of the use of the idea of Joker as the other half of Batman, but not of Bruce Wayne. I think that was made very clear by the end as well.
Well, just because the Joker doesn't react doesn't mean it doesn't register. I mean, that was my favorite, my two favorite parts of the whole issue. I've had mixed feelings throughout this whole mini event, but I felt like I liked when he went after Damian to save Damian, although it was kind of a diss at the rest of the family. You know, and the water came down.
It's his real son, though.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, blood. Sorry, everyone else. And I also. And I also did like that end sequence, and I really liked that Joker that Capullo drew before his face had been taken off. It was very interesting. It was a surprisingly attractive Joker, I felt.
I'll take that from you, Grace. Okay, okay.
But you know, it just reminded me of like what a shame it is that they cut this character's face off, and I think they've kind of backed him into a corner. I mean, as we saw from the great coloring, it's decaying.
Backed him into a corner or fell off a waterfall. There's the big kind of Sherlock Holmes thing going on there as well. The one thing that I think a lot of people may have also missed was Batman and Robin, which also came out yesterday.
Oh yeah, I love that.
It was a far better ending to the series. It went through the characters, Damian, Batman, and Alfred, and their dreams.
I think the way they're developing Damian's relationship is fascinating. I mean, I hear some crazy stuff is coming up in Batman Inc.
Yeah, possibly. We don't really know. I don't know. I mean, you can join up dots, but that's all you can, really.
But I felt like the idea that, you know, making Damian be, you know, a savior to Batman and kind of almost pulling him out, literally in the dream, of the depression over his parents' death, like almost being able, like, you know, Batman thought his life was a dead end and it's not anymore. I mean, that's really powerful stuff, and that could potentially really change the character. But I think that, like, for instance, when you said about this Batman 17 and how, like, there was really no, you know, it was a death of the family, but more emotionally a death of the family. But I think that they should. I think something bigger should have happened more final, because I think when you look at the really great,
I think so.
Yeah, I think when you look at the really great comic book stories throughout the medium, something big happens that affects the mythology going forward.
Absolutely, and I think if it doesn't, people feel disappointed.
Yeah,
on the way the monthly serialized comic is portrayed now. If you promise something big and you don't actually quite deliver what you promised, people won't really forgive you. I mean. Marvel have had a spate of those with things like Secret Invasion and Fear Itself, but then seem to have redeemed themselves a little bit. People are much happier with Avengers vs. X-Men now, it seems, once they've realised that actually, yeah, it was an important thing that changed characters.
They're still reeling from Avengers vs. X-Men. You know, it's turned the entire Marvel universe on its head, including the creative teams.
Yeah.
But I feel like Death of the Family, I don't really think that anything much is going to change. I don't see those characters staying away from Batman for a long period of time.
Yes, right, absolutely. What was given to us, it didn't sink in that way. If it was going to be like that, it needed to be something. Basically, Batman needs to have been exposed doing something far worse for whatever justifiable reasons, and that really hasn't happened yet.
Well, and not only that, but you know, Snyder even went back and said, "Oh, Joker doesn't even know who everybody is."
Yes,
so that's not even a revelation.
No, I mean it was that I found definitely wasn't kind of the impact that was promised. But again, you know, we'll see going on, I guess.
Well, also another thing I wanted to touch on that I thought was really interesting about the comic is that not only does Joker have his face ripped off, and I think they morphed him more into like a current horror movie villain, but I thought for the first time they really explored the idea that the Joker was gay.
Really? I thought... I don't know. I think Joker's relationship with Batman isn't really anything to do with sexuality.
I don't know. It seemed the love theme, you know, I mean, look, you made a Valentine out of it.
I did, it's true.
You know, and I mean, the whole night, with, you know, there are a lot of romantic metaphors, and more so than I've ever seen before. Okay. You know, I feel like Alan Moore in The Killing Joke really showed the Joker as somebody who, you know, just wanted Batman to, like, come on this journey with him, and they were, you know, they were two different sides of the same coin, but this was more of a romantic relationship. This was more of a, we're not two sides of the same coin, we need each other. And I think there was a more effeminate Joker, not only in the way he talked, but even, as I said, in the end, that end scene, you know, that was a prettier Joker, that, you know, except for his scars. Interesting.
No, that's one interpretation of the characters, and that has been touched on in the past, certainly. I kind of always get the idea that Joker's playing with all these different faces, all these different ways to dress up to appear.
Literally now.
Well, yeah, indeed. Yeah. And this is just one of them. I don't see it as particularly innate to the character, the idea that, oh, the Joker's gay, therefore this and that. I think, basically, if the Joker's gay, he's only gay for Batman.
Okay.
That's kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? I don't really see him expressing sexuality at all. I mean, romance, yes, maybe. Horror, absolutely, all these sorts of things. But he doesn't strike me in that fashion. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, no, it's a difficult situation. He's a hard character to get a read on because, of course, Harley Quinn, you know, for a long time. But that relationship mostly is in her head. And now,
absolutely, yes.
And now DC has separated them anyway. You know, Harley Quinn was changed first at the beginning of the New 52, and now I think the Joker has been, and his relationship with Batman has been changed. What do you think of DC not just rebooting, but literally, really for the first time, I think, in the history of the company, reimagining these things to this extent? I
think it's a case of they're just being a little bit freer to play with some of the characters. So there is a little bit, you can change stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it, we'll be seeing this in this WTF month as well. There will be, even if it's just on the surface level, attempts to change things, to shake things up a bit. I mean, that's certainly what the DC New 52 tried to do initially, to some success or others. I think there's a definite desire to keep doing that, and every now and then to take another fresh look at the books and go, okay, let's just change everything here. And that may be editorial down. Some people aren't probably going to like that either. But there's definitely an attempt to try and keep things up in the air, keep the plate spinning.
Well, it's risky, because I think people did not like the Harley Quinn change. I think that character's still relying on her popularity from...
Well, you know, Suicide Squad is still a popular book. When they did big Harley Quinn issues, sales went up. They got second prints on those.
I still think that character is really loved. I think it would take a lot for people not to like that character. I mean, I pick up the Harley Quinn issues. I still like her a lot. I like her best with the Joker.
Yes.
But, you know, I understand, okay? And I think that I think that for the beginning of this whole Death of the Family event, this new Joker was wildly popular. More popular than I think anything we've seen come out of DC in a long time.
Yes.
Do you think that'll hold up now that this ending has come?
Well, it's like, how soon do you bring him back? That's the thing. The only way this is going to work is if you actually take him away for a good long while. I've got a story I'm working on right now which may indicate he's returning sooner than we thought in a different project. But it's like any good major supervillain for a major character, you can't just have him there all the time. And we've had an awful lot of Joker.
Do you think that he can get his face back? I mean, it's going to eventually not be able to be held up there anymore.
Well, I mean,
it's going to fall apart.
Special.
He lost it in the water. I think
he's a chemist. He can do all sorts of things with chemicals.
That's true. Yeah, or go to like a mob doctor.
Absolutely.
Like, which version of the Joker do you like best?
Well, I must admit, I did quite enjoy the Death of the Family with the whole stretched skin kind of version. I really quite enjoy the idea of having a mask that is your own face to hide your identity. I thought that was really quite nice.
Well, I have to say, I really liked the Joker addressed the issue head on. Why don't you kill me? And I thought that was also a really good part of the issue. I thought that, you know, the Joker had his own theories as to why that was, and you know, it's like again with flirtation, Batman was maybe sending him the wrong signals.
I thought Batman's own reason that he told to Alfred was an absolute cop out. Oh no, I can't kill him because Gotham will send me something worse. It's like, no. The universe doesn't work like that.
So overall, the overall Death of the Family arc, I would say that, in my opinion, it's definitely a read. I think people will talk about it for a long time, but I think people will be divided about how it went. And I think that unless we see some repercussions that that aren't apparent yet, I don't think it's going to stand the test of time like the other Batman stories.
And remember that with these kind of things, again, it's often what comes down to the collection as well. It's always a difference between reading it serialized with different tie-ins and then reading the book, the collection, whatever they choose to put in there.
And also, I'll say that, I think Snyder right now has had more success with Night of the Owls because that has had it created a new book, Talon. I feel that that's had lasting repercussions that are probably never going to go away in the Batman universe.
That's the nice thing about Scott Snyder. I mean, he's a relatively new voice to comics, but he's always gets people talking, always gets people interested with his work.
I think he's very cinematic. I think he's one of the most cinematic writers they have working in comics, if not the most cinematic.
Well, I mean, it also helps that certainly on Batman he's had Greg Capullo.
Who's totally.
Absolutely astounding. It's certainly one of the best Batman artists we've had for a very long time.
I think it's good. I have mixed feelings on this, but I'm certainly going to keep reading, and I think a lot of people are.